What's up, guys? It's Eckingsan. I recently had a great chat with Brandon, aka CoupleANerdz, about content creation, his experience with multiple sclerosis, and the work he's doing to help others with MS. Brandon recently raised thousands of dollars in a fundraiser for Stream to End MS. I have no doubt that he will continue to make substantial impact in terms of advocating for MS and helping others with this condition. I hope you enjoy this conversation. Please check out the links to his social media, the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, and the Able Gamers charity in the description below. Okay, so recording now. I want to catch
Awesome.
as much good conversation as we can, but we can talk naturally, and then I'll go back,
Yeah.
edit. So you're actually the first person I'm like, it's pseudo interview. It's kind of conversation. I've had conversations with Ergo Dr. Hawk, who's another guy I
Okay.
speak with,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
a friend. And actually, we're like 7 years old when we were friends, so we've known each other for a long time.
Oh, that's
But
awesome. I see him in
yeah,
the stream all the time. I was wondering.
yeah. So we've always been hanging out on video chats, and then we basically decided to start doing the streaming thing. And so
That's awesome.
we would game like once a week for a long time, off and on. Things always happen, but
Yeah,
then eventually we just decided, hey, I want to try the streaming thing. So what if we just stream our game nights? And so that's how that started.
that's awesome. I always thought you guys were just kind of like playing and doing stuff together, and I was like, that's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, yeah. So, no, it's awesome to see you and talk to
Yeah.
you.
Thank
Sort
you
of,
for having me. This is cool.
yeah, absolutely. I was thinking maybe we could kind of like give a little background on how we know each other and where
Yeah,
we've been.
yeah.
Because so I'll start out, I guess. Like we went to the same college and we were in the
Yep.
same physics department.
Yep.
And I think I don't know if I was a junior or senior when you started. So I graduated in 2012.
Okay. I would have been I think I was like a freshman then. Yeah, I just started in.
Okay.
When did I graduate? Oh my gosh.
Okay. Man, if you can't remember, that makes me feel really old. So thanks for that.
I legitimately can't remember. Oh man, it
But
was after 2012. I can say that.
okay. Yeah, I just
So
remember that in what really comes to mind, because like we didn't really overlap in classes, but we had this
right.
really cool like tea time is what we called it.
Yes.
This
Yeah.
physics club tea time. It was like
SPS.
yes,
Yeah.
SPS. So
Oh.
I think I was vice president or something, but I always somehow got roped into setting those up and trying to encourage people to attend
Yeah.
and stuff. I love the physics department there. There was a cool
Oh.
environment where like there's a conference room where we would have the tea time and then
Yes.
the computer lab next to it.
Right
And
next door.
yeah, and I always felt like this is just the computer lab is where people would congregate and then yeah,
Yep.
walk over to and get some free cookies and coffee and stuff like that at tea time.
No, that's awesome. I don't know if you remember. I was thinking about it just before I hopped on. I had started at Wright State as computer engineering, and then after a conversation with the head of the physics department at the time, I can't remember his name. Um, I swapped to physics after I'd taken a class with Dybel, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this guy's awesome! Like, he makes physics really cool." And then I had a whole email conversation with you about joining SPS and everything. And I cringe because I still have this memory of emailing you, and I think you were like dead. You were like swamped with exams, and you were doing the real nice person thing where like you were answering the questions, but you're like, "Hey, I am studying real quick," and I just kept not even looking at that, and just kept asking questions. And now looking back at it, I'm like, he was dying in finals exams or whatever, and I'm just here like, "Yo, what's SPS like?" And you were so nice to respond to me.
I totally forget that, so don't feel bad at all.
Okay.
I feel bad that I forget it. I just remember you were really cool at tea time, and I was like, man, I'm sad that I'm leaving and I don't get to know this guy better. But now I do get to know you better,
Yeah,
so it's good.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's funny. I like look back on so many things, and I have that same feeling of like I said something really dumb in
Yeah.
retrospect, like when I look back on it,
Yeah.
because like you don't know when you're a freshman like how
Right.
hard the senior or junior exams are going to be.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And like same thing for professors. I didn't realize like
Right.
how crazy their lives are. So like I would just be
Right.
talking to Dybel and others, and I had no idea like what goes into grant writing. So if they say, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we're working on this grant," I'd be like, "Oh yeah, they're just They seem fine.
Oh, they're just chilling in their office, drinking coffee. No big deal.
Yeah, like I knew they were
Grading
busy,
papers.
but
Yeah.
I didn't know it was like such a like whole body consuming. Like now I'm writing
Yeah.
grants. That's something I'm learning, and at least for me, it like consumes all of my time when I'm doing
Oh,
it. So it's
see, I haven't done anything with that where it like you're pitching something to try to get money to keep working. Like I worked at AFRL for a little while, and my the head of the department would like do the grant writing and everything for us. And so he would just be gone for like 2 weeks. He was just like, "Hey, everybody, I'm doing this. Don't talk to me." And we're not allowed to go to that side of the office. But I haven't experienced that myself.
yeah. I think it's something. The more you see people doing it, you get a better idea. But when you do it yourself, you really realize, oh man, because it's like all I can think about. I'd be walking down the hall and like not acknowledging people around me because I'm thinking of like, how do I write this paragraph? Will this
Right.
research idea work? But it's really interesting science to write a grant. I really feel like that's where the science happens because you
Yeah.
plan out, like you have this hypothesis you're building and you have to plan out
That's
all the
so true.
experiments you're
Yeah.
going to do. And then it
Yeah.
becomes like a cookbook when you actually do the grant. Like you already have like the storyboard of the research or the
That's such a
rest.
good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's the
it's,
part that always terrified me. Like when I was in class, I was like, how do you come up with the idea of what you want to do? And yeah, that whole part always intimidated me.
yeah, I just I really love science and I love all the ideas that come out of it. I'm
Yeah.
just on the tail of a conference that I was in last week and my mind is just buzzing with all these
Oh, that's
research
awesome.
ideas. So I think like when you're first learning physics or like all this stuff, you don't know enough to have new ideas, but then when you spend
Sure.
years in a field, you can start to think about, well, here's something that we don't know, so maybe I can
Yeah.
be the one to research that.
That's
Um,
so awesome. That is like
yeah,
the coolest thing.
yeah, and we need people. Like right now, computers and stuff are the bottlenecks, but like
Sure.
for most research, we just need people to do the research. So
That's
that's why
awesome.
I advocate for science, and I love that you also advocate, obviously, for the medical science related
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
MS.
Absolutely.
So what have you been up to since graduating college?
Kind of like I feel like I've lived two different lives. When I first graduated, I was living in my hometown, and I had a small computer business that I ran. I started up because I literally just needed to pay bills, and I was worried about student loans coming due. And I was interviewing everywhere, and nothing was going. And yeah, so I started that up, and then I finally got like an actual job, a same job I have now, actually. Um, and then I started going into some circles, and I met some people, and I sat on the board of the hometown that I was in. Was doing all sorts of stuff, and then honestly, just one day was like, this is not what I want for the rest of my life. I I pursued the small business for a little while, quit the full-time job, started having like health issues and everything. Now that I now in retrospect, I know it's related to MS, but at the time had no idea. And started having some issues with that, and was like, I really don't want to live in my hometown anymore. I don't want to do this thing. I started the small business as a way of like honestly, it was in a way of almost like helping people, because I started it after going to visit my great grandma, and she was having computer issues, and she's like, "Oh, you do such a good job at this. You should start a business." And I was like, "Hey, I need to make money. Let's try it." And I got linked up with a bunch of people, and it went from there. And yeah, and then like when I went into it full time, it turned into I need this money rather than like I'm just kind of helping and making a little extra money on the side. So it had a whole completely different like feel to it, and that's not what I was there for. So I quit that, went back to the main job, and we moved out of the hometown. We pretty much put like a physical barrier between me and the old life, is what we call it. And then, yeah, things were good for like 6 months, and then I got diagnosed with MS, and now things are even better. So, is what it
Okay.
is.
I'm glad things are good. You always
Yeah,
seem so cheerful on the stream. So I'm really, and I see your social media and stuff. Like I don't think you're putting on an act. I'm glad that things seem better. I know you have a lot
yeah,
of tough things going on related to MS. That we have some health issues in the family that are not MS but autoimmune
sure.
and other things. And
Yeah.
it's always a challenge. So
Autoimmune stuff is just the worst. You don't realize how
yeah,
many people are affected by it either until you start paying attention, and it's
yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's something like in my area, what I'm doing, like in research, there are so many diseases that we just don't diagnose. We just
Yeah.
miss them.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting better and better at it. And that's why it seems like more and more people are getting things, but actually
Sure.
it's probably something along the lines of like, we didn't know all these things were happening before. And
Right.
we're,
Right.
yeah.
I feel like that's a really great point because yeah, there's so many things nowadays that you look back and you're like, oh, I've undiagnosed this and I've just been living with it for 30 years and thought that was just who I am, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I wanted, I sent you a list of questions, so I figured we could kind of go through that.
Yeah.
But we already touched on it. Well, I kind of segued into it a little bit. So what got you into streaming, and how long have you been doing it? Because I think I only
Yeah.
caught you when you were on the transition to Twitch, because that's where I've been. So when I saw you were coming
Yes.
to Twitch, I was like, oh, hey,
Yeah.
I know that.
No, that's awesome. Funny enough, I got into streaming, into content creation actually, because like YouTube was the first thing I started doing. And I started that because I had this interest in video games and making like video content. But I just had no idea what I wanted to do. So I was kind of exploring. I was doing it while I was doing the full-time job and the business and the council stuff. So I was just dying and killing myself. So I started streaming because I was like, hey, if I dedicated time to play video games, I have to now play video games now. And so that's why it started. I literally just wanted to have a dedicated time to be like, hey, stop doing stuff. Let's play video games. We're being productive. We're doing something. And yeah, it kind of went from there.
That's so
Um,
funny. That's a lot of like how I look at it. So we have
yeah.
I'm only doing one night a week, which is really not enough. Like
Hey, that's all right.
consistently, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
start. I'm doing one night a week, but it was exactly that because I was in
Yeah.
grad school and I was working a part-time job too. And like, I was like, I'm not doing my hobby. So
Yes,
I
exactly.
was like, if I do this streaming thing, then I'll feel like I'm doing something productive because
Exactly.
I did want to
Yeah.
do this content creation thing.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what got me. So that's what sounded familiar. But how long have you
Yeah.
been at it then, at content
Uh,
creation?
so I started on Mixer I think it was like 2.5 years I was on Mixer. And I've been on Twitch. Like I dabbled in Twitch. So I think my first live stream was right around the time I started Mixer. And I think that was like 2018. So it's been close on 3 years that I've been streaming. But officially on Twitch, I think like August. I want to say it's August-ish last year is when I transitioned.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Um,
I guesstimate. I don't know. It might be earlier too.
yeah, but you're doing awesomely. Like it seems like you're getting great growth. You're having a ton of fun. Like
It's so much fun.
it looks
I've been
great.
incredibly lucky because like I have an old high school buddy named Kanuch, which shout out to Kanuch because he's incredible. And he's actually the one that kind of like got me started on Twitch because I hopped on, started doing some stuff, and he rated my channel a couple times, and I started to get to meet people from his community, and then we hooked up and played some Destiny 2, and then it's just been kind of crazy since then. So I owe most of my growth, especially initially, to Kanuch and his community because they've just been incredible.
Awesome. Good job,
Yeah.
Is it Kanuch or Kadooch?
Kanuch, Kunuch.
Awesome. Well, thanks,
Yeah.
Kanuch. That's
Yeah,
great.
he's awesome. He's really
I'll have to
good.
check him out. Actually, I haven't seen his channel, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
No, he's a really good. He plays mostly Destiny. I think he's been doing some Valorant and getting into some other stuff. But he's an incredible guy.
very cool. Um, how was your transition from Mixer to
It
Twitch?
was it was hard. It was an interesting. It was, I guess the easiest way to put it is it was like a full on like mental shift. Because I went from Mixer where I was just streaming to have time to stream, and then I jumped to Twitch and I kind of kept doing that, and then I was this close to turning it off. Like I even told my friends that I was like, hey, I'm not streaming anymore. Like don't worry about it. We can say like cuss words and all this other stuff. Don't worry. And we started doing that, and I think that lasted about 2 weeks. And turns out I was just having a really tough mental health period. Um, it was mostly related to because I got diagnosed with MS, and then 3 months later the pandemic hit, and my work I work for an incredible company, and they let me stay at home for 6 months, just full pay, full benefits, everything, and they were just like, don't come into the office, we don't want you to die. We
Yeah,
also don't have work
good.
for you to do at home, so just stay there. And yeah, so I started doing that, and I just not having anything to do and streaming to nobody for so long, I just was like having a hard time with it. And then so when I processed all of that and all of my MS and that this is my new reality, I thought, hey, I didn't know what MS was. Maybe I can rebrand everything, come at it from a different viewpoint instead of just as a hobby now. Like I kind of want to make this a thing. So I took some of my like small business knowledge and started going from there. And then ever since I made that shift, I think that's when it started being really good. But that initial move from Mixer to Twitch was hard.
Sure. Yeah. Because I think you mentioned to me around the time you shifted that like almost no one came over that was
I had
on
zero
Mixer.
community.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
it was hard. Yeah.
I saw your Discord. Like you made it. You made it after the transition. And so, do you think that would have helped a lot if you had a Discord before the transition?
I think so, honestly. Because like the people that jump into the Discord are usually more like dedicated to like the idea of the community, or they're more interested at a very minimum. And that definitely would have been a good way to like get the word out, because I wasn't doing much on Twitter either. So I was having no other social engagement on anything other than just Mixer. And then even on Mixer, I think I had like 200 followers and 0 returning people. Like it was all just people that had come in, watched me for 5 seconds and moved on. So yeah, it was, I didn't really have a community coming over to Twitch, which again was why Knooch was such a huge influence for me.
Sure, that makes sense. I know totally. I think anyone who has played around with the streaming thing knows the feeling of having 0 people watching you and how demoralizing it can be.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
You still have to talk like there's someone there because people will drift in and out, but
absolutely.
There's a huge shift. I've kind of experienced it in the past year. And now I feel like there are a few people that they're amazing and they like come consistently to hang out. And it's just so much fun to have like those few people that are hanging out with you while you're playing a game compared to 0.
Yeah, no, it's the 2 years on Mixer. I'm glad that I came at it from like I want to do this to have time to play video games, because if I would have spent 2 years streaming to 0 people, I would have been very, very sad. It was rough. It was rough, especially when you're looking at other creators and you're like, oh, we started at the same point. Like we both have the same time, like amount of time put into the stream, and you're so much further than I am. Like what did I do wrong? And then you start comparing yourself, and oh, it's bad.
Yeah, that comparison thing, it's so hard to not do anywhere in life. Anything that you're working at and you're trying to get better at, it's so hard to not look at the other people who started at the same point. And then you see them taking off. There's always someone making more progress. And there's a natural feeling of like, I want to be where they are.
Right.
But I do think like when I feel myself doing that, I try to say, I'm getting what I want out of it. I like have my own personal goals, and like comparing to other people, I tried to push that aside. You can never do it completely. But
I've done my little tricks for myself is I have my, obviously like the stream manager up on my other monitor. And so I'll watch that, but I've removed the viewer thing, so I can't see how many people are in my chat now. So I go blind until the end of the stream, and then I check the summary to see how we did. And that has helped a lot for me, because then on the days where it's like there's nobody there and we're just kind of chilling and talking to myself, or like maybe one person, that just helps that like comparison idea. Because then I'll like check out the sidebar and be like, oh man, this person has 14 people in there. Like, what am I doing wrong? And it's hard. It's definitely hard.
That's very cool. I didn't think about doing that. I definitely see like when I'm streaming how many people are viewing right now. Yeah. And I do like, if I see it ticking down, I'm like in my head thinking, what am I doing wrong? Do I need to like sit up more? Do I need to like project more energy?
More energy. Yeah.
So maybe that's something I should pick up.
It's definitely hard. I try to do a lot of myself too. Like I've had some people like come into my stream and that have been newly diagnosed with MS or looking for answers. And they'll come in and they'll not follow the channel or anything, and I won't see them again. But like for me, that is what this is all about. I want to build a community around awareness, and I want to build a community around good, and being able to look at the freaking March charity that we did with all that money raised. And then having, I don't know, 6 or 7 people now come through that have been newly diagnosed. A couple of them have stuck around and like called the community home. And like, that is when I have those days, that's what I focus on, of like, Brandon, we have done incredible. Like, we're not even at a year now. Like we did more than double this amount of time on Mixer and had nobody returning. So yeah, it's good. It's good to remind myself of that. But man, it's hard to remind yourself when you're in the middle of it.
Yeah, that must be an incredible feeling because I saw with your promotion for not promotion, the fundraising for the MS Advocacy.
Yeah.
I was thinking obviously of the financial impact and that this would eventually help patients and all of that.
Yeah.
But the fact that you've had people that were diagnosed and that have come back to the community, like I can only imagine that's a huge feeling for you.
I've got chills right now, but yeah, no, it's a really, really, really rewarding experience. And it's cool that I get to do the thing I love to do. I get to entertain people, make them laugh, have a good time, play the video game that I want to play and hang out with my friends even while also simultaneously doing this stuff. And it's like, it's so cool. Like, yeah, it's so rewarding.
It's a win-win-win.
It is really.
So what is your favorite part about streaming?
That.
Oh, the 100%.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The rewarding part of it is absolutely the best. Followed very closely by chatting with the community. Like I love just chatting streams where we just sit there for an hour and a half to 2 hours and we're like just bullshitting back and forth before I even jump into a game. I love those parts. Making friends, doing the whole community aspect. That's my favorite part easily.
That's awesome. Actually, I've never done a just chatting stream, but people have asked to do it.
They're awesome.
Are they? I'm not a very talkative person by nature, so I feel like I would not have things to just chat about.
I think I always go into that too, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about, and then somehow stuff comes out of my mouth, and I'm just like, hey, we're rolling with it, let's go, and then it's a good time.
Cool. I'll have to try it sometime. Push myself out of my comfort zone.
Hey, there you go.
Speaking of out of comfort zone, how was the nurse outfit for the?
It's sitting in the closet right back there.
Hey, yeah, you always have it for another,
exactly
incentive.
Dude, that thing was so uncomfortable to put on. I had to have the wife help me every time. It was so bad. Like,
it's amazing though.
Oh, I am a big guy, and I filled that thing out way too well. And every time I was like, man, I've got a bust on this thing, and I'm filling it out.
You're a good-looking nurse. You might think about a career change.
Hey, there you go.
Wait, was it nurse or maid, actually?
It was a maid outfit, but I'll take a nurse outfit, too. That looks good.
Yeah, maid. I was like, wait, that's not right.
Next time it'll be a nurse outfit. It'll just be the same one, and nobody will know.
Yeah. See, you have to get that.
Exactly.
Okay, what about your least favorite part of streaming?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think the least favorite part of streaming is people asking to join in on the game. When I'm just wanting to hang out with my buddy and I want to hang out with the community and talk to them, but I don't want to have them coming into Discord and making my friend feel awkward because they didn't sign up for other people jumping in. That's the worst part, because then I feel bad telling the people no, and then I feel bad that like I'm putting my buddy as the reason that they're not coming in, you know? So that's the hard part, is trying to walk that balance of like, hey, no, we can play, I promise. I'm not against that. I just not tonight. Like, so yeah, I talk way too much over myself when I get into that headspace.
Yeah. How do you, I've had that a few times, and basically I put as a rule, like, do not ask to join, but people still do, because
I know.
And I don't feel like I want to ban someone or kick someone out just because they asked. How do you like deal with that?
It's different every time. If it's a returning member, then I'll just kind of like joke with them and let them know that, you know, I'm playing with the broski or my brother at the time. I've tried to be more vocal about like, hey, when I'm playing with my friends IRL and I'm streaming, then we're probably not going to have people coming in. But if it's just me and I'm playing Apex with nobody else, then you're more than welcome to come in. But I'm an introvert by nature too. And so this is easy because it's a camera. I'm not having to talk to people. And it's a one-way street. And that's so much easier for myself because I kind of set the boundaries. But yeah, it's a hard way to say no. But thankfully I've been lucky in that my community is understanding for the most part. You still have people that still want to hop in even though you've said the thing. But yeah, I try to let them know that as much as possible when we're playing together, probably not having extra people in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually not so much my community. I think my community, although it's not that big, they know me well enough that like
Yeah,
I plan things out a little bit. Like
sure.
I have to get in the right headspace to be social.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
so like I have to prepare my body to like interact with people. I like it. I
Yeah.
really enjoy it, but I
Right.
just by nature I can't just like jump in and balance
Turn
between
it on.
multiple.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think they understand that. It's for me, it's like the new person that hopped on and they've been watching for 30 minutes or
Yeah.
5 minutes, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I want to join your game," and I don't want to tell
I
them no, but
yeah.
yeah,
No, I'm definitely I'm also very wary in like who I play with because I had a bad experience on Mixer where like someone jumped in and used every bad word you could imagine and said all the things, and that was it. They're just trolling, and I was like, I'm never gonna do that again. So it took me a while to even let people into the games on Twitch. But then I had a lot of people coming back and returning to the community, and I got to know them a little bit better. And then I took a chance with one, and then I took a chance with another, and like I've been slowly working my way out into the like letting people in. But having people hop into the Discord, I feel like does add that extra layer of like, hey, like you've been here for a week. I'm okay with you hopping in now, but like we'll still be wary when you jump in just to see what kind of person you are. But it's always I don't know, like a nervous thing, you know?
yeah, I get what you're saying. I think for me the Discord helps too though, because I could kind of
Yeah,
at least they took that next step and like I
exactly.
can get to know them a little bit more before they hop
Right.
on stream or something. But
Absolutely. Absolutely.
it is kind of it's like really cool that you can play video games with people around the world. I mean, I know you could do that for like 30 years or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean
But
it's really cool that they can watch you playing a game,
yeah.
hop in a Discord, and then catch you next time you're playing. You guys can voice chat. Like
Right.
it's
Like
amazing.
I've met so many people just through my community that have done that, and it's like now we're like I feel like we're actually friends now more than just like internet friends, and it's really cool. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, exactly. So speaking of streaming, like I could use advice on growth.
Sure.
I really
Yeah.
could.
I
And
don't
I
know how
think
much I can give, but I'll be happy to.
so. Yeah, I think you've figured some things out along the way that have really helped your growth. Do you have any tips? Let's talk. When you're
Yeah.
first starting a channel, I want to talk like, even though I started the channel, so maybe I'm a little bit farther on, but do you have any tips for
Sure.
people that are just starting out, like
I think
from
the
zero?
biggest thing is figure out what makes you different. Because everybody can turn the camera on and like play the game, but what is the difference here? So whether that's like a knowledge base, whether that's like a personality thing, whether that's for me awareness of MS, I think is kind of what sets me apart. As well as I think my personality does me a good job of that. Yeah, I think figure that out and then go into it knowing what you want from it. Do you want to make money? Do you want to grow a community? Do you want to just have fun and play video games and make friends? What are you looking to do with your Twitch channel or any streaming channel? Yeah, I think that's the number one and two things you got to do is figure out exactly what you want to do. And then once you know that, you go from there and kind of build it around that idea of what it is.
Got it. What about like routine versus? So I've kind of asked this question like to myself. Should I
Sure.
do like 2 hours 3 times a week, or should I do a long stream on the weekend and then maybe another day 2 hours? Like, how do
That's
you
a
structure your
that's a good
schedule?
question. Yeah, that's a really good question. I go for consistency. So like I have a schedule of Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. And then I let my community know when that changes and everything. But I honestly think after having done it for a while now, I think consistency is more better than anything. So rather than disappearing and coming back, if you are regular, it doesn't even have to be the same days every week. If it's just, hey, I know this guy streams often, then that's the best thing you can do. And when you're ending a stream, letting people know that are there, that especially if they're new, what's next? Are you going on live on Wednesday? Are you going live on Friday? Are you going to be gone for a week and coming back? Are you going on vacation? And just having that moment to be like, catch everybody up on what's happening. I think that's the most important part rather than having a consistent Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But I do the schedule for myself just because it gives me a spot of like, hey, I need to plan around this so nothing's on this day. But yeah, consistency over schedule, I think.
Okay, awesome. That makes sense. And that's something I've heard many, many times is
Yeah.
be consistent.
Yeah.
Like, so that way people know when to kind of expect you and what's
Right.
next.
And if you do have a schedule, try to stick to it as much as possible, that too.
Hmm. Uh, what about like, I love your branding and like the animation. I love this.
Yeah.
It's like line art terrain that you're moving
Yeah.
through. Uh, so like this is a place where I'm stuck now. I think I'm pretty happy. There's obviously many things I can improve, but I got a camera. I have a decent
Sure.
microphone. I have
Sure.
decent setup. Like, how do you figure out what your branding is going to be? Like, how do you figure out your emotes? I'm not artistic at all. So
No,
like,
same.
how do you do that?
I wish I could tell you I got lucky. One of my friends IRL did all of my graphics for free. Like the
Amazing.
starting soon screen, the everything. The only thing that I had a part in is emotes and my webcam frame. Like the framing around my webcam is all I did. And he did everything else. So I wish I could tell you, but I honestly I've heard go to Fiverr and go to stuff like that to try to find artists. But yeah, it's it's a free for all and it's a shit show.
But even with that, like, did you decide? Like, did you have a vision for what you wanted him to make before that?
I did know that I wanted like a comfortable spot. Like I wanted it. When he was asking about stuff, I was like, I like retro neon, futuristic kind of like 80s aesthetic. And so he kind of took that and ran with it. And then the only thing I really came up with was the logo with the hair and the glasses. And I was like, that's just a picture of my face, but kind of like 3D imaged. And then he just made it prettier. And yeah, I wanted the theme to be around cozy. Like you're coming in, it's cool, but it's also warm and inviting. And that's kind of what we got. So I wish I could give more advice though, but yeah, that's my experience with it. I'm working with an artist for emotes, but honestly, that I just went on Twitter and was like, hey, I need an artist. And then people were like hitting me up left and right. So yeah.
Oh, awesome. So maybe I should ask about that. So your emote stuff, like, do you already know what you want to make as your emotes?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I did is I took funny screenshots that have happened like during streams and stuff, or like pictures of our wedding is one of them. Like my pog emote is a picture of me walking out with my wife hand in hand, and I'm yelling about how excited I am. And I just screenshotted my face, and that's the pog emote. And so, yeah, it's been little stupid things that have kind of like popped up as the community's gone on, and those have become the emotes. And the artist that I hired, we're working in June, July-ish timeframe. And all I want is those emotes pretty much turned into like a style. And I'm leaving it up to them as I want you to know that it's a nerds emote. I don't know how you do that because I'm not an artist. But like I want you to see the emote and be like, oh, it's a nerds emote. That's that guy. And that's what I'm looking for.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds good. This is why I have one emote on my channel.
Sure.
Which was made by someone in the community, and it's me. It's a picture of me with a blindfold on because I'm blind when I play games. Like I miss the most obvious thing. I'm just terrible. I've been playing games since I was like 3 or 4 years old, whatever, and I still miss the most obvious things. So
it happens to the best of us.
They have Ecking blind is the emote, and like that's the kind of thing that I want. You're right. Like things that represent you or like the channel or something. But I'm really having trouble even like figuring out like what I like.
Someone mentioned when I first started out to try to find emotes that people would use, and they were like, try to do laughing emotes or pog emotes or other like ones that are Twitch global. But then I noticed even for their channels, like no one uses their version of the emote. They just use the global version of the emote. So I was like, obviously I don't want to do that. And that's kind of where like my original emotes were eat ass, because I say eat ass all the time. And then good vibes, which is just good vibes in blue.
Nice.
What the shit, I think, is one of the other ones, and it's literally like a turd with what the on it. And like little things like that were just like funny things that I kept saying, and people were like, oh, that should be an emote, and then we turned it into an emote. And then it kind of evolved from there. People found funny screenshots, and then those turned into like an emote. So now you've got the what and the excite and everything like that. And yeah, no, I think doing something that, especially as an affiliate, because we only get 5 emotes per person, even if you get all of the subs in the world, you still have that limited range of stuff. So you let the global emotes be used as global emotes because everyone recognizes them, and then put your flair into what you want as something like an inside joke is what I like. But I'm also a not very serious person, so
You're good.
Whatever I can do to make people laugh.
Yeah, no, you're very good at that. No, I think that helps me. Like, I have a few ideas now that maybe I could pursue. So it sounds like I've heard that same advice too. Like that you should make emotes that people would use on other channels.
Yeah.
But from what you're saying, and I think what would be more useful for me are emotes that will boost engagement on this channel.
Yes.
So when something's happening, they can spam that emote.
Absolutely,
and then like feel like they're getting something for being a sub, because now they have
Exactly.
an emote that when they're watching they can really use that matches the mood. If you're saying good vibes, they can throw good vibes out rather than trying to like I don't know, like make this thing that you think might be used on someone else's stream.
Yeah. Because like especially like I know a lot of streamers don't like when other people's emotes are used. I'm not one of them because I don't really care when people use emotes. So there is that like whole thing of like sometimes people, when they have 2 laughing emotes, like one for your community and one for the streamer they're watching, then they're going to use that community every time because they don't want to override theirs with yours. And so, yeah, I think honestly, just having those emotes that can be used anywhere that are a nod to you, but not overriding the other person is a really good way to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, the problem when people use some of those emotes from other communities is I don't know what it is. So it's good for them, but I don't know how to react to it. So I'm like, okay, can you explain that? Maybe it's good because then they can explain it and we can chat more. But I'm fine with anything.
It's a little conversation starter. That's what it is.
Yeah, I'm happy with whatever. If you want to, not whatever, but anything reasonable.
Obvious ones too, like that. Like that's a great point because when you're streaming and it's on the monitor, like even if it's a big monitor, you still got to kind of like, they're tiny emotes. You got to click on them and see them. And try to interpret what they're meaning with that because you've never seen that before. And yeah.
Oh, something I've been playing around with lately are like the community goal and channel points stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like everyone on my stream loves the channel points thing. So I'm curious, like, do you use that a lot? Unfortunately, I don't catch a lot of your streams, so
no, that's all right. Yeah,
sorry.
I see, and I never worry when people aren't there because that just means that they're doing their own thing. They're having fun, enjoying themselves. So yeah, no worries at all. No, I use the channel points quite often. The big one that I started with was "Call Me Daddy," and it's because I'm overly sexual in my streams as well. So I'm literally like, "Oh, hello, Daddy, how's it going?" And so that just started as like only one person can redeem it. You have to be the first one to get it. And it kind of drove engagement, especially in the early days of like, oh shit, I got to get in and be called daddy for the rest of the stream. And it was just a goofy inside joke. And it started actually turned into our mod. He would jump in and get it every single time. And so he is now in Discord. He is labeled as Eternal Daddy, and it's just an Easter egg for him as a thank you for always being there in the early days and supporting the channel and being dope. And so it's just goofy stuff like that.
That's super cool.
Yeah, I really like that one. I like that one a lot.
Awesome. So we could talk some MS since you mentioned that already. And I'll leave anything you want to talk about up to you. So if we miss anything, and if there's anything about the stream you want to mention, now might be a good time to throw that out. But we can move to MS if there's nothing else. I was wondering if you'd be willing to share your experience. Like you mentioned, your diagnosis took some time to figure out. If you might walk through that story.
Yeah, no. So it all started back when I was still doing the computer stuff. Running the business, doing the council, and living that lifestyle of just going all the time. I had started having like just headaches like crazy, especially right in my eye area. And I was like, I don't know what this is. So I went to the eye doctor thinking my prescription was out of date or something. And while I was there, she was like, she mentioned that there was some swelling back there, but she's not really sure what it was. So she recommended me to go to I can't remember the name of the specialist, but it was a specialist of the eye at some sort. I forget exactly what it was. a retina specialist. That's what it was. And so he looked in there and he's like, I don't see anything, but there is definitely swelling. I'm going to have you come back in a year and we'll just kind of monitor the situation. And in that year, I was stopped the business and turned it all off and went back to work. And right when I started working again, like literally day 2 of starting that job back up again, I experienced this insane vertigo. Like I woke up in the middle of the night and I face planted in the toilet. Like I could barely stand up. Just was hitting my head on everything and just trying to get a grasp of the world. And it freaked me the heck out. And I was terrified and crying and throwing up everywhere because apparently I have a sensitive stomach with that. And it was a bad time. That lasted like 30 days and we tried everything. We went to physical therapy, went to ER doctors. I was in the ER for about a night. And just nothing was helping. They thought I had taken some drugs. I'm the most vanilla person you've ever met. Like I don't even drink alcohol that often. Like,
yeah.
They're like, did you do any cocaine? I was like, I haven't literally touched marijuana. Like I don't even know what I'm doing. And so they tried all the stuff. They did a head scan and they just couldn't find anything. And so that eventually kind of like loosened up and I went back to work and did the thing. And I think it was about 6 months. I was about 6 months before I had my actual episode that got me diagnosed. It was a Friday. I remember it being, so I had gone to the gym for like 2 or 3 weeks in a row and I was doing really good Monday to Friday. Every day after work, I would go and I was dedicated to like losing weight and doing the thing. And I started to notice on the Friday morning as I was getting ready for work that my feet felt weird. And I was like, I thought, like when you leave your socks out of the wash and they dry, they're like kind of crunchy or whatever. And so I was like putting my socks on and I was like, this feels weird, but whatever. Like maybe our dryer's on the fritz. And went to work, thought nothing of it. And then Saturday we were walking around in a grocery store and I noticed my feet felt weird. And then I was like, my butt crack kind of feels weird. And it just kind of there's these little things that I was like, I don't know if that's normal, but again, maybe I overdid it at the gym. I don't know. That kept going. And then Sunday we had D&D with a group of friends. And I remember like sitting down in the chair and I couldn't feel my butt at all. Like anything from my butt down was just gone. And I was kind of joking about it being like, oh man, like, I don't know what's going on, and thought I pinched a nerve or something.
Yeah.
I woke up on Monday to get ready for work and I thought I woke up, I couldn't feel my hands at that point. And I remember going and talking to Heather and waking her up at like 6 a.m. and was like, hey babe, I think I need to go to the hospital. Like, I think this is something more serious. We had a whole conversation about whether we should or should not. And I had a doctor appointment coming up. So I was like, maybe I'll just talk to the doctor. And we finally pulled the trigger and went to the ER. And they thought it was a neuro issue. I was dead set that it was a gym thing. And I was being that difficult patient. I was like, no, I think it's a gym thing. And she's like, no, I think it's a neurological thing. We're going to send you to the hospital. And so they sent me to a main campus. And I remember riding in the ambulance because they were transporting me between campuses. I remember being in there and looking out the back and thinking, oh shit, this might be bigger than I thought. And sure as shit, it was. So we got to the main hospital. I had to do a spinal tap, which was terrible. They hit a nerve and everything on the way in, and it was not a great time. And then I had a 6-hour MRI, which was honestly not the worst thing in the world. It was kind of just chilling and listening to music and falling asleep. And afterwards they came back up. I came back up to my room. It was like 3 or 4 in the morning at that point, and they're like, we think it is MS. Do you guys know what that is? We had no idea. We thought it was ALS because that's the only thing we could think of. So at that time, I was like, Heather and I both locked eyes, and there's a solid couple seconds that passed. That feels like an eternity. Yeah. And we were like, this is it. I've just been told that I'm gonna die. And then they were like, I told the doctor that, and she's like, started laughing. And she's like, no, you're fine. This is MS. It's completely different. You're not gonna die like yet, but eventually, but like not yet. And so and then we had a conversation of what MS is, and then that's honestly eventually once I got through all of my own mental health issues, why I did the stream, because I was like, people like me that are going to be in the hospital, not freaking out. What the heck is multiple sclerosis? What is this?
Yeah.
I wanted to be a little bit a source of good for that. So
Oh, that's awesome.
it was a time.
That's I mean, not the experience. That's obviously not awesome, but I'm glad that at least you were able to like use that in a positive way to
Yeah, no.
to inspire you in a sense.
Yeah.
I think it's having a huge impact. But so when you went to the ER that night
Mhm.
and to the time to diagnosis, how long was that? Was that all in like a day or two?
That was all in
happened?
a day. I woke up. So we went to the ER in the early morning, like 7 o'clock, I think. And then it was that next morning. So 3 a.m., 4 a.m. that next day is when they were like, we think it's MS. And then the next day they did more tests just to make sure, because they were afraid of Lou Gehrig's disease, I think. And so they're double checking everything. They got like 16 vials of blood, and then eventually came back later that day and were like, yeah, you have multiple sclerosis. And then they kind of walked me through everything. I don't know how many lesions on my brain. They'd said multiple. And then I've got the one spinal lesion, which is what got me diagnosed. So
Got it. Okay.
it was a crazy 24 hours.
That is a huge 24 hours. And
Yeah.
I thank you for going through all of that again.
of course.
You also have a really good blog that you've written, I think, a lot of these things in too. So
Yeah.
I definitely want to link all of that in the
thank you.
description when I do post this. So
Yeah.
people can read the story too and other things that you've written surrounding
Of course.
MS, especially with the pandemic. I know you mentioned that's been pretty rough too.
Yeah. The blog, I think it's kind of cool because you can track my own mental health through the blog. Because I have my first couple of posts that are angry, and you can tell they're angry. And then the third post is kind of, woe is me. And then personally, I believe I'm in a spot now of I've felt my shift go from, oh crap, I can't do that because I have MS, to I'm going to do that and then just make sure I pay attention to my MS. And that mental paradigm shift is evident in the blog as well.
Yeah, that's what I've seen from you. And when you were sharing some of the videos during your fundraiser weekend, there are people that have MS that are really pushing themselves to be like marathon runners and things like that.
Absolutely. And those people are just like inspirational.
Oh yeah, because it's a challenging condition. I mean, as far as I know, like, that's really a lot of respect for people that are just pushing as hard as they can, because it is tough, as far as I know. Do you want to talk about some of the like treatments that are out there, or like how is it managed?
Yeah. So there is no cure for MS. It's all basically just trying to mitigate loss and slow the progression of the disease. So when I started out, basically when you have a flare up, which is your lesions just get angry and your immune system starts attacking your nerves, and then that's what causes all the different symptoms. When I first started in the hospital, I had 2 days of very strong IV steroids. And then there was brand new research done not even a year before my diagnosis that you could take prednisone in very high dosage, like 30 pills at a time kind of thing. And so I got sent home and for 2 days of prednisone to kind of like check it out, because my body was recovering well and stuff. And we literally went to the Kroger pharmacy and talked to the pharmacist and got 60 pills of prednisone. And she freaked out because she's like, do you realize what one does? Like, you don't need 30. And it was so crazy to the point where she recognizes the wife's face. And she always asks how the husband's doing, because she's like, is he alive? Like, is he good? And so, I took 30 pills with breakfast, got really hot, very angry, and then passed out, just slept for like 3 hours. And we did that the next day, and same kind of thing. And then they put me on it took about like it took about a month until I was like able to walk. And then about a couple more weeks from then until I was able to use a mouse and keyboard pretty accurately. And then I think about 6 months until I felt normal. And still, even then, I've had some like nerve loss myself, just things that haven't recovered. But they put me on infusion medicine that was monthly infusion. It was technically a chemotherapy, just because it's, a chemical and everything. And so it was a monthly Tysabri, but with a risk of the JC virus activating. And I forget exactly what the thing is that happens when you have the JC virus. But it's like the John Cunningham virus, I think.
Okay.
And so it's pretty much like a brain fungus is my understanding of it. I have no idea.
Oh, wow.
And it's deadly. So like if it happens, there's not much of a chance for making it after that. So they didn't want to play with it because my numbers were too high.
Yeah.
And everyone's exposed, I guess, to the JC virus at some point in their past. Like most adults have a thing of it. But my numbers were higher than normal. So I had been recently exposed. And so they kept me on that for about 6 months. And that was just to kind of keep the MS at bay. And now they have swapped me to a medicine called Ocrevus, and that's what I'm currently on. In fact, I go next Friday to get my next dosage, and it's once every 6 months. So it's about 6 hours an infusion, and it's once every 6 months, which is great, instead of once every month. But it destroys my respiratory immune system, which with COVID is not a great time to have that. So, but no, it's a cool medicine that coats my nerves. So it literally just... Or sorry, that's the Tysabri. The Ocrevus destroys the immune system, and the respiratory immune system, your B cells, are what is hopefully the thing that's attacking your immune system, which causes all the issues with MS. So yeah, it just kills that part.
Wow. But I mean, it would, so if you change medications again, that comes back, or it's a permanent... It's probably not a permanent killing of the immune system.
I don't believe it's a permanent one, which is why I was able to get my COVID vaccine. So yeah, it kind of like builds back up over time, and then we kind of dampen it down again, and then I'm becoming angelic again.
Yeah, I see that.
Nice. So your respiratory immune system kind of comes back and does its thing because your body needs an immune system, and then we kill it every 6 months. But right now with my timing, because I am 1 week away from doing it, they were like, hey, we have enough time. There's like brand new research again, because COVID's still new. And they were like, they found that the immune system, if it has like 2 weeks or more to get the second dose, it has enough time to mature and have a proper immune response to COVID. So
great.
We don't know how good it'll be. There's not enough data on that because it's all, again, still very new. But hopefully, with fingers crossed, it'll be enough that if I do get hit by COVID, that my body will hopefully know what to do. So that's a concern, but something we gotta live with.
For sure. So, like with the COVID vaccines, are there data about the effectiveness, or you're saying that it's still being studied?
I'm sure there is, but I don't think there's anything published yet.
Okay.
So I know my neuro is a fellow, so he's still working on everything. And he reads a ton. He passes that information along very well. But yeah, as far as I know, there is nothing publishable that is verified by peers yet. So
yeah, well, we've only had these vaccines under emergency approval for like 5 months, 6 months.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not that long. But this to me emphasizes the fact that people need to get vaccinated, because I also have a family member who her oncologist told her that we don't really know, because this was a lymphoma that this person had.
Oh, wow.
They don't really know. She's in remission now, which is great.
That's awesome.
But they don't really know for that cancer, like what the response will be with the vaccine, following her treatments and everything that she'd had. So yeah, for MS or for other diseases, the data aren't there yet. So yeah.
Yeah. And that's the hard part. When you see the CDC guidelines, there's always a little asterisk of immunocompromised people still have to practice these protocols. And that's me. And that's many other Americans and people around the world. You just don't notice. Yeah.
But the encouraging thing is at least the numbers are largely going down and people are getting vaccinated.
Absolutely.
So I guess keeping on this train, do you want to talk any concerns going forward, or like what do you think going ahead with MS?
That's a good question. Sorry, I've got scratchy throat.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of concern is, um, like obviously the future, what it holds, because MS can, like the flares can happen at any time.
Yeah.
So one day I might wake up and have no walking capability for a month or two, because I have the pain in my eye. That means I have optic neuritis. Um, which is, it's actually kind of fascinating just from like a health perspective and a knowledge perspective. I literally, my left eyeball receives data like 15, I don't know what I forget what if it's microseconds or milliseconds, um, but 15 something behind my other eye. So I process
Oh,
information differently, and that causes nausea. So when I have that kind of headache, I have to just kind of chill and drink water and rest and relax and take a nap. And it's usually gone by the time I wake up. But because I have that, that means at some point in the future, I will more than likely lose my vision. So whether that's going to be permanent or for a couple months while I have the flare, my body relaxes, that's hard to say. But so yeah, knowing these things, knowing what I've had, and knowing the lesions that I do have, we're trying to mitigate loss as much as possible. So for me, that translates into getting healthier, trying to eat healthier. There's a huge bunch or a whole lot of research being done on gut biome health and how that
yes.
links directly to mental health or
Yes.
brain health. And that's huge with MS patients, apparently. So we're trying plant-based diets for myself and the wife just because it can't hurt, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so trying to do that is kind of where our planning is going, because we can't plan for what is going to happen, but we can try to mitigate the loss as much as possible because we know it's going to happen. We know that I'm probably going to wind up in a wheelchair. We know that I'll probably lose mobility, and then brain function as well, because people with MS apparently our brains shrink, like actually
Mm.
shrink, which is kind of interesting. And yeah, so that's kind of the goal, but doing as much good as possible before that happens. That's my goal.
Sure.
So
Well, that's awesome. Thank you for doing the good. I'm saying the
yeah,
good that you
yeah.
do is awesome
Thank
because
you.
what I understand is that like before your diagnosis, you didn't know too much about MS, right?
No, none. Zero.
So when you got your diagnosis, like where did you look, or like were there other people doing what you're doing now?
As I couldn't find any when I was looking. I kind of just Googled MS, and that's where I got hooked up with the MS Society. So the MS Society is obviously who I've partnered with for my my March fundraiser, and going forward, I'm trying to help with them with a bunch of other fundraising efforts and just trying to get the word out. But the MS Society is what popped up first for me on Google, and they have symptoms, they have FAQs. You can get linked up with an actual MS expert and have conversations with people, and it's all free to you. You don't have to pay a dime, and
Wow.
it's just an incredible organization that has a huge group of people talking about things left and right. Of I'm newly diagnosed. I have a family member that's diagnosed. My wife is diagnosed. What can I do to help? Um, there's a YouTube video I found of a guy in Columbus, actually, here in Ohio. And he does weekly YouTube videos of just, he's an MS doctor, and he has just like recommendations for people that are newly diagnosed, or if you're
Awesome.
experiencing numbness, what can you do to help with that? And yeah, that's where I went. I went into the bowels of Google and Reddit to try to find people that were doing things, and I didn't find anyone that was doing something with Twitch related to MS, which is why I figured out I'd do it.
Well, that's great that you're adding
Yeah.
to it, adding that component. So, was there an MS subreddit as well that you
Yeah, so
found?
there is an actual MS subreddit, which is incredible. Um,
Very
I,
cool.
I, I when I was in the depths of my mental health, it wasn't a great place for me because
Ugh,
there's good stories and bad stories. So
okay.
people that have been newly diagnosed that are dealing with things, and then people that are 30 years diagnosed, that have had all loss of function and just all sorts of stuff and horror stories left and right. So it kind of ran the gambit. So I ended up leaving that subreddit just because I was like, I don't need this in my life. So I figured I'd just talk to my neuro as much as possible because he's a fellow gamer, which
Oh,
makes it really good. So
very cool.
yeah,
Very cool. Yeah, so all of that information I'd like to include in the
Of
description
course,
below
yeah.
too. So I'll get those links from you. That would be really
Oh,
great.
and I wanted to mention too, even though I didn't find them on Twitch, there are a bunch of people that doing MS related fundraisers and charity and awareness. Um, I've noticed, like for me, I'm a part of a team called Multiple Sclerosis, and it has fellow streamers that are doing things related to MS, whether they have it themselves, whether they're raising awareness, whether they're a family member that's tied to it. So there's quite a cool group of content creators out there on Twitch that are doing the thing. I just hadn't found any when I Googled, which is why I tried to do a little bit extra.
Got it. Yeah. I mean, the more people you have out there pushing for
Yeah,
it, the easier it is going to be to find. So
absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
great. And I assume people will have different interests, right? So if there
Yeah.
are other streamers, you'll all be streaming different games so people
Right.
can find the community that they want to be in.
Yeah,
And that's great.
absolutely.
Because
I
yeah,
also noticed for myself, I never grew up with that extra that I don't know, like the TMI gene, like I'm never afraid to share too much information. In fact, I probably share too much. And so I noticed that was a part of my own personality, and I was like, I don't care. Like, do you want to ask questions about my MS? Like, I'm totally fine with that. Like, it's a shared experience that we can have and talk about. But I noticed a lot of people didn't have that same gene, which is again what kind of drove me to do the thing. So
yeah, you've been very open with like I think some of your infusions and things like that. Like you'd be like, it's
yeah,
infusion day, and then you're getting
yeah.
chicken nuggies, right?
Dude, spicy nugs after
There's
infusion, the
spicy nugs.
best.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the best.
The best. Where do you get your spicy nugs from?
Wendy's.
Oh,
Hashtag
Wendy's
sponsorship.
Wendy's spicy nugs. They are really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
I
them.
haven't had
They're
them in a
so
while.
good.
They are so good. So what are, I think you already said this. So MS advocacy organizations.
Yes.
So are there any other than the what's the name of the one you mentioned again?
The MS Society.
MS Society. Are
Yeah.
there any other ones that people should?
There are
look
other
for?
ones. The MS Society is the biggest one that I know of, and they have branches in the US and the like UK. They're kind of global, but they operate independently from what I understand. And then there's another group called the msfocus.org. They are much more factual based and science based, which is a great place to go for, especially for burgeoning research, since there's so much being done right now. But those two, msfocus.org and MS Society, are the big two that I know of.
Nice. Okay. Thanks for sharing those.
Yeah, of course.
In what are your plans for advocacy going forward? So you've done great with
Honestly,
the stream. You're on a roll.
thank you. Honestly, I don't know. I want to kind of continue growing this community and building this up to a point where we can be a force for good, because we're still a pretty small community and doing our own thing. So it'd be cool to be on a bigger stage, getting more people looking at it, more eyeballs, and helping empower others. Because I'm trying to surround myself with really cool people that are doing cool things, regardless of whether it's MS. And then making it not preachy. That's been my big focus. Is I don't want it to be, hey, welcome to the MS thing. Watch this video, and then this is what MS is. I want it to be a fun, enjoyable stream, regardless. And then also, this guy has MS, and this is what MS is. And I've learned this because I've been in the stream a long time. So yeah, I want to keep growing that community, surrounding myself with cool people, pushing content creators to do cool things just because it's cool, pushing people to do good things because it's good. And I just think the world needs more good rather than negativity. So that's a huge push for me. And personally, I would love to be able to work more with the MS Society themselves. And I'm already working on the board with them, and that's a fantastic first start. But I'd love to do more. I'd love to keep pushing the envelope and doing as much as I can before my MS gets to me, you know? So it's that's the big hope.
Sure. I think one good point you made there is like creating good content, I guess, and having other things. Like MS doesn't define people. It's a condition you're living with and that you want to advocate for. But it's like I love the way your stream was like during the fundraiser, because like you would be doing all this fun stuff, and then at the end you showed the video. And I think mixed in you also showed some videos of people's experiences, and I thought that was a really good balance. And
thank you.
You're welcome. Great job. The what really got me on Twitch actually is, I don't know if you've watched this, Games Done Quick and like video game speed
Yeah.
runs. Yeah,
Yeah.
so they've partnered with like Prevent Cancer Foundation and also
That's awesome.
I forget the one they do, Summer Games Done Quick. It's not coming to me right now, but like I love the way that they did it too. They had incentives like you have and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But like intermix, they would show things from Prevent Cancer Foundation to remind you
Yes.
of like
Right.
some of these things going on, but like what people were there for most of the time was like the fun atmosphere.
Right.
So it's like
Right.
bringing positivity for a good
Exactly.
cause, and I just
Exactly.
love that you're attacking the problem from that perspective.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's been the hope and the dream. So it's cool. It is honestly just the coolest freaking feeling to be able to do that and to so far be doing it successfully. And it's just, yeah, it's awesome. It's not something that I ever thought would happen. I never thought I'd hit affiliate. I never thought I'd hit 50 followers, especially with my experience on Mixer. And yeah, it's just been world changing. It's completely changed my life in the coolest way possible.
Awesome. I love it. Uh, I guess one last thing. What can people do to help?
Honestly, just spread the word as much as possible. Share things when you see them. The MS Society is trying to do their thing, and they're trying to get started on like a more social media presence. So if you follow the MS Society, if you kind of keep in contact with them, again, share information and stuff that you find there. That's the best thing you can do. I always say on my streams that the most valuable thing is your time. If you are here watching the stream, you helped me raise MS awareness, and that is the coolest thing possible. The money is great, the extra subs are fantastic, but the core of what we're doing is raising awareness, and eyeballs help so much. So yeah, sharing and getting the message out is the coolest thing.
Awesome. That makes a lot of sense. I'm just imagining like, so someone who watches your stream, then if they know someone that has an MS diagnosis and
Exactly.
they don't know resources and things, they could say, hey, well, I heard from this person, and they can check out your
Exactly.
stream or look at, at least they would have something to get that person started.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
No, it's yeah, eyeballs are fantastic.
yeah. Awesome. Well, where all can people go to find you, and what times do you stream?
Yeah. So I'm on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. Those are the big three. You can find me at twitch.tv/CoupleANerdz, and I'm CoupleANerdz everywhere. So Instagram and Twitter as well. And I stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. to midnight Eastern, and then Saturday, noon to 4 Eastern as well.
Very cool. Is there anything else you wanted to mention or talk about?
The only thing I wanted to bring up is I guess this could have gone in earlier with one of your questions. Things I want to do. I want to work with Able Gamers Charity. They're an incredible organization. And a quarter of everything we make on the Twitch channel goes directly to them. We've donated over like $600 now. It's been incredible. Yeah, they are an awesome organization that just helps people play video games regardless of their ability or disability. And for someone like me, when I had my flare up, I could barely pick up a controller and use it. And that served as a sort of rehabilitation and a physical therapy for me, because the more I used my hands, the more those nerve connections started coming back. And yeah, they're an incredible organization. I'd love to be able to do more with them. So that's kind of that would be the dream.
Awesome. So Able Gamers, you would like to partner and do more work with them? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
or give more money?
That would be incredible. Yeah, in some way, I'd love to help them more and get more eyeballs on them, because they have a lot of eyeballs already, but they don't have as much of awareness as I would love to see. Because there's a whole conversation in video games, especially right now, about making games accessible, and it's great to see that conversation, but it kind of dies off when it's not popular. And I would love to be able to see the Able Gamers Charity, because they're going through that same wave. And when it's popular, they get a ton of money and donations and attention on them. But then when it's not, they're not the focus. And so, yeah, it'd be really cool to be able to do something with them in the future at some point.
Awesome. Yeah, I have heard so many good things about Able Gamers. So
yeah,
thanks for mentioning them.
Of course.
Okay, great. Brandon, Couple of Nerds, this has been amazing.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Absolutely, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'd love to see. I'd love to do the Twitch partner interview.
Yeah, that'd be crazy, right?
Yeah. No.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, I can imagine. I can see it happening. But we'll do this again sometime. This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me again.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. So, guys, please check out Brandon's Twitch stream and check the links in the description and learn more about MS. And take care.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the conversation and learned something along the way. If you did, please like and subscribe and join us on Twitch. Links are in the description. See you next time.